BuzzFeed and TYT dug up some video on Donald Trump's statements on the intervention in Libya, and this is unreal. And I'd go as far as to say this is now what I would consider classic Donald Trump. This is Donald Trump 101. Let's watch.
Gaddafi in Libya is killing thousands of people. Nobody knows how bad it is. And we're sitting around, we have soldiers all over the Middle East, and we're not bringing them in to stop this horrible carnage. Now, we should go in, we should stop this guy, which would be very easy and very quick. We could do it surgically. It's horrible what's going on. It has to be stopped. We should do, on a humanitarian basis, immediately go into Libya, knock this guy out very quickly, very surgically, very effectively. But let me just tell you, Syria, he's saying that I was in favor of Syria. He said I was in favor of Libya. I never discussed that subject. I was in favor of Libya. We would be so much better off if Gaddafi were in charge right now. If these politicians went to the beach and didn't do a thing, and we had Saddam Hussein, and if we had Gaddafi in charge, instead of having terrorism all over the place, would be, at least they killed terrorists, all right?
Let me ask you about Libya. You've been highly critical of Libya and Hillary Clinton. You were also for military action to oust Gaddafi and military action to take care of the humanitarian situation in Libya. You supported that.
When you say I supported it, I supported Libya?
Yeah, you supported intervention in Libya.
I did? Where do you see that?
In a video blog from 2011, you said,
now, we should go in, we should stop this guy, which would be very easy and very quick. We could do it surgically, stop him from doing it, and save these lives.
That's a big what we're talking about. I mean,
but you were
big
for intervention.
Don't forget, I'm the only one. I made a lot of money with Gaddafi, if you remember. He came to the country, and he had to make a deal with me because he needed a place to stay, and he paid me a fortune, never got to stay there, and it became sort of a big joke. I mean,
but you were for intervention, just to clear that up.
I was for doing something, but I wasn't for what you have right now. And right now, ISIS has their oil, John.
This is one of the things that confuses some people about your positions, though. You said you weren't for intervention, but you were for intervention in Libya.
I didn't mind surgical, and I said surgical. You do a surgical shot, and you take them out. But I wasn't for what happened. Look at the way it's, I mean, look at with Benghazi and with all of the problems that you've had, it was handled horribly.
That's not the way it's supposed to be. Since then you've said you were never for interventions.
I was never for a strong intervention. I could have seen surgical where you take out Gaddafi and his group.
Surgical is exactly what they did. I am a strong critic of what happened in Libya, but nobody in their right mind can say it wasn't surgical. It was just like, pop, few airstrikes, get Gaddafi, and then you're out. And then obviously he was fleeing, and then he was murdered by people who caught him. But it was as surgical as it gets. In fact, it was so surgical to the point where you had, there were some Libyans who, after Gaddafi fell, they were holding up signs about how much they loved the USA. Now, again, overall, it obviously wasn't a good idea. I'm not for intervention in Libya. But it absolutely was surgical. It was quick. It was not a ground invasion. It was not sustained. But see, Trump's trying to have his cake and eat it too. Because you heard him there. I've never seen a more clear contradiction in my life. You know, people calling this a flip-flop. I just call it a lie. I mean, he came out there in 2011. It was obvious his position. Yes, we got to go. We got to take him out. Humanitarian, yada, yada, yada. And then in the recent debates, he was like, I was for Libya? I was not for Libya. I never spoke about the issue, and it'd be better off if he was in power. At one time, he said, we got to take him out. He's got to be out of power. And then he's like, okay, no, he's got to be in power. So, and then again, he flip-flopped again later on. You saw there, even when he's confronted with the video evidence. But, okay, the main takeaway from this is I'm seriously amazed at how good of a liar he is. I am. Because most people, there's some level of reality that they're tied to. They're chained to reality in one sense or another where there are signs, there are cues in how they talk and what they say, where on some level, if he knows, and of course he knows that not that long ago I was for Libya, now I say I'm against it, where your average politician, your average person, you'd see something, a little tell, to use poker terms, a little flinch in the face, a little pause, or some sort of rationalization that comes up front before you get to your final conclusion. Trump flips it. He just says, no, I wasn't in favor of it. I wasn't in favor of it. We have video saying you were, but I wasn't. I wasn't in favor of it. We just showed the video. I wasn't in favor of it. I wasn't in favor of it. So he's got this thing where it really is like a pathological liar thing, where you almost temporarily convince yourself of your own bullshit. So there's no... It appears to people who are not super well researched on the issues that guy's the straight shooter, that guy does not take any bullshit, that guy is right. When in reality, when you see the video evidence and you put it back to back to back, there is no other logical conclusion than, no, he's the problem. He's the liar. He's the flip-flopper. He contradicts himself. He just takes both sides of every fucking issue. Now, obviously, I can't go through this entire segment without bringing up the very relevant fact that Hillary Clinton is a massive liar as well. There's a video that went viral, 13 minutes of Hillary Clinton lying. Some of it is on stuff that I think it's obvious she's lying. Probably 80% of the video is just right. Some of them I think are a little weird and misleading and out of context, and there's a difference between the far right-wing attacks on Hillary and the legitimate left-wing attacks on Hillary, yada yada. But yeah, she's a fucking liar too. But she ain't as good at it. Trump is just like, no, I wasn't for intervention. Well, we have the videos saying you are. They play it. But I wasn't for it. But you know what? And then how does he wiggle out of it at the very end? Well, I wasn't for what happened. I mean, what are you kidding me? Absolutely. I wasn't for intervention, but I could see surgical. But that is intervention. That's literally how they did it, and that led to the problems. So again, he's not tied to reality. Reality is irrelevant. And honestly, it's almost like through sheer force of will and on persona and arrogance alone and cult of personality, he might coast into the White House.